No, I need all the space I can get. I need. Yes.
Everybody ready? Everybody's here too. Good evening. It is 6 o'clock, and I'm going to call this meeting of the City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Click.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Saper.
Here in mind and body.
Councilmember Bailey.
Here.
Councilmember McGrone.
Here.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Here.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Salinas.
Presente. Here.
Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Click. Item 4, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, item 5, comments from the public. Please, if you'd like to make a public comment, approach the podium. Please give your name and address for the record, and please limit your comment to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Not 20? Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Zach Clevenger, and I'm at 1028 East 24th Avenue for the record. So I'm here to talk about item 12 about the bus service. I have a low vision individual, and I use public transit, the route number 238, to get to and from work. I also use the 298 Metroflex here within city limits of NKC to get to like board meetings and different appointments around at NKC Health. So I saw that the bus contract with the KCATA was on discussion for tonight. So I see public transit as a city service. It's not here to make money. I know it costs money, but it's here to make our community more vibrant, more multimodal. It's supposed to reduce traffic, reduce the need for parking. Some of the benefits of public transit. First of all, when I looked at the numbers and saw the contract, I was like, wow. And I was like, my council members are going to have sticker shock, which I'm sure you do, and I did as well. So it looks like $1.2 million for our amount that we have to pay. I did see the route breakdown for the labor and mileage, along with the direct and indirect costs. And I'm not really sure if we've ever received a breakdown of what those direct or indirect costs are. I know maybe that's what you're asking for, Mayor Smith. At one time I heard like the indirect costs were some like marketing, HR, et cetera. I'm not sure if that's true or not. But I would love for the KCATA to explain a little bit better about what those costs are. I think that might help our council members and justify, if they can justify their numbers. Also a question for the KCATA is with the reduction in funding in federal and state and use of the COVID funds have been exhausted, what have they done to secure other revenue sources? Have they done private-public partnerships? Have they engaged the other communities that are off the service now? Have they approached like maybe North Kansas City Hospital, NKC Health, or other organizations that, because I know that the 238 it looks like the flex route looks like there's a lot of people going up to the hospital. So, I just wonder if they've gone and done that. Question about the fare. Will a fare be returning? That might help with some of the costs. I'm happy to pay a fare for reliable, quotation marks, reliable public transit. I know we have a 1/2 cent sales tax for transportation purposes that was approved back in August of '92. And that can do like fund mass transit, street maintenance, street construction, sidewalk maintenance, sidewalk construction, et cetera. And from the last mayor, I think I heard we had about $2 million coming in on the tax from per year. So I'm just asking for your consideration to continue bus service in North Kansas City and to downtown, whether it be with the KCATA or if you can find some other option that's more economical and got the same service level, I'm all for it. I firmly believe that the KCATA, and this is not a plight against you all at the city, I don't want you to take it that way, or the people that work at the KCATA, but I think some of their leaders have been lax in their strategic planning and trying to find some of these new revenue sources or planning for the future in advance. I don't know who places the members on the board of the KCATA. There's really no way to contact them. They just list the names in their background. But if you're listening, appoint somebody that actually uses the service and that's qualified. That might be me or it might be somebody else. 50 seconds, 1 minute less. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comments? Good evening.
Hello. Jess Loya, 2112 Fayette Street.
Can you pull the microphone down just a touch?
It's because I'm short.
There you are.
This is a defining moment. This moment sets the precedent for how we as a city respond to attacks on our values. Values that we outlined many years ago in a master plan. And how we act here speaks volumes. To be clear, no one here is arguing that we do nothing in the face of federal mandates. What I'm asking is that we move forward with care and a deliberate commitment to our community's values, adopting a policy of strategic compliance that allows us to maintain our integrity in the face of adversity. Executive Order 14173, the order driving these changes, is just 8 pages long, and I hope that all of you have read it. Because when you do, you will see that it doesn't stop us from doing the work of making North Kansas City a place where everyone belongs. What it targets is specific words: diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and related phrases. It says that those words cannot be tied to federal funding, contracts, grants, and nowhere does it prohibit us from strengthening civic participation, removing barriers to access, and making sure that every resident feels represented. That distinction matters because what we're talking about tonight is not just the name change. This is about how we choose to take a stand. Do we respond to pressure out of fear, or do we respond strategically in a way that protects our funding and the commitments we've already made to the community? Our city's master plan calls for North Kansas City to be safe, affordable, and accessible, for growth to benefit everyone, not just a few, and for authentic voices to shape our story. The Equity and Inclusion Committee was built as a tool that lets us center those values by engaging underrepresented residents, identifying barriers to city services, and applying a fairness lens so that development and decision-making reflect the needs of the whole community. That mission does not conflict with making our infrastructure or maintaining our infrastructure. It strengthens it. Infrastructure is only strong if it serves everybody. So yes, rename the committee if that's what keeps us compliant, but when we rewrite its purpose, let us be intentional. Let's encode the work in neutral, benign language that parallels our city's master plan. So increasing participation, strengthening community belonging, improving access, and making sure no resident is left out of civic life. This is about refusing to hollow out our commitments at the first sign of pressure. It's about setting a precedent that North Kansas City will comply only to the bare minimum required, never more, and always in a way that protects our people first. We don't control the federal government, but we do control how we respond. And I'm asking you guys all tonight to carefully, strategically, and in a way that tells our neighbors our values are not up for negotiation, to make this decision.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Diane Barrow, and I'm at 2915 Erie Park. Joanna Keel and I wondered what one person could do to make a difference, a real difference in the fight against climate change. Bart German wants his family's food scraps turned into nutrient-rich compost for his garden. We all independently determined that composting is our answer. We've been working together since mid-June to determine composting resources and options and how to spread the word to our North Kansas City friends and neighbors. Surprisingly, food waste has an outsized impact on greenhouse emissions. According to the EPA, municipal solid waste landfills are the third largest source of methane emissions from human activities in the United States. Food waste comprises about 24% of municipal solid waste disposed of in landfills. Due to its quick decay rate, food waste in landfills is contributing to more methane emissions than any other landfilled materials. An estimated 58% of the fugitive methane emissions, meaning those released into the atmosphere, are from municipal solid waste landfills due to food waste. The EPA also indicates that composting works by breaking down organic materials like food scraps and yard waste through a natural process involving microorganisms that require oxygen. These microorganisms decompose the materials into nutrient-rich compost, which can improve soil health and plant growth. Our committee has researched a variety of composting programs in order to make the best suggestions possible for the largest number of residents. Our first recommendation is a pilot program through Casey Can Compost, similar to those they have successfully implemented with Prairie Village. For this, the city and Casey Compost would have a contract for a number of drop-off bins, which they would empty at least weekly. And North Kansas City residents could drop off food scraps to a secure bin free of charge. We feel the cost is reasonable, and it's something the city could consider when covering as a service to the residents. A reasonable budget for 2 smart bins emptied weekly would be about $1,000 a month. They'd be accessed via smartphone app, so during the pilot, we can gather data on the number of people using the bins and how many food scraps are diverted from the landfill. Our committee will continue exploring composting options with the Mid-America Regional Council, also known as MARC. They're developing training for backyard composting, which is the process of turning food scraps from the home into nutrient-rich soil. And it's carbon neutral because you don't have it dropped off or taken anywhere else. And tomorrow, Byron Spencer and I are going to that very first training, so we'll have more information at that time to share. There's a small grant program through MARC. We could apply for a $3,500 grant to help with our startup expenses, like maybe some resident supplies, bin signage, or educational and promotional material. There's also an option for curbside pickup that we will tell residents about, and they would be on their own to subscribe to that. We've prepared a resident survey to gauge interest amongst the options and help implement them. It would help us identify who's interested in the program and where to place the bins. Our bottom line for the council is we'd like to start by asking you to consider covering the cost of the drop-off bins for residents. It takes about 90 days from the contract date to have the bins manufactured and placed, so we could get started in early 2026. During that time, we would be asking the city to help us distribute a very brief educational survey, educational video, and our survey over all of the city communication methods, and assist our committee in maybe drafting the grant proposals for MARC. If we get to host the home composting sessions, we would also ask for maybe a place to do that in the city. We're starting with residential composting because our high-density housing and apartments provide unique opportunities for composting. Eventually, we'd like to see if we could make it more attractive to businesses in North Kansas City, working with possibly the North Kansas City Business Council or River North. Thank you so much for your time and attention to this. I hope when we distribute the survey that you'll participate in it and urge all your constituents to learn about the benefits of composting and take the survey too. We would love to see North Kansas City on the forefront of reducing our carbon footprint and turning food waste into a nutrient-rich asset for our soil. As landfills approach capacity, composting isn't just a feel-good activity. It could be a meaningful way to help manage the cost of trash removal and create a more sustainable city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work you and the composting committee have put into this. This is phenomenal. Yeah, I see some folks back here. Thank you all very much. We can talk for sure about adding something into the budget. That'll be coming up here at item 13. And I really, I imagine you'll get some good support from the folks up here. So thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Further public comments? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Fritz. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the North Kansas City School District. I also serve as the Treasurer of the North Kansas City Business Council. And tonight I'm here on behalf of the Business Council, but wanted to give you some information on the school district. We just had our first day of school today. Probably saw a lot more traffic in your streets this morning and this afternoon, but anyway, we're off to a good start, and I just wanted to give you some information on the school district and how we work with the Business Council in the city. North Kansas City School District is the second largest school district in the state of Missouri, encompassing 82 square miles, almost all of which are in Clay County, and includes the entire area of North Kansas City. The district employs around 3,700 people, 170 of those at North Kansas City High School, and we have 22 employees who live in the city of North Kansas City. At North Kansas City High School, we have over 1,700 students, of which 195 live in the city of North Kansas City, and they are part of 146 families living in North Kansas City. The district serves over 3.4 million meals to students annually, over 500,000 to students at Northtown. The district transports students over 2.1 miles annually, utilizing a bus fleet of over 160 buses. In order for North Kansas City schools to be successful, we rely on great partnerships with community organizations, city governments, county government, business community, and residents throughout the district with and without students who attend our schools. We partner with the city to provide safety and security at Northtown. We have a police officer there that's provided by North Kansas City, and we greatly appreciate that. We also partner with the city to improve and maintain the baseball and softball fields at Mackin Park, as well as the tennis courts. Today's Northtown was rebuilt and renovated with over $60 million in funds provided by approved by voters back in 2016, and the new Northtown opened its doors in August of 2019. In the last 11 years that I've been working with the school district, it has become abundantly clear that in order to have good schools, we need a thriving community. We need city partners and business partners to create the desirable communities residents are proud to call home. On behalf of the Business Council, we thank you for your continued support with the city to help the businesses thrive and generate revenue for the school district and the city. And on behalf of the school district, we thank you for partnering with us to create a vibrant community our residents want to live and work in. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. And thank you for the work you do with the school district. A great group of folks we got to meet this past week, and really, really awesome. Further public comments? Liz, we'll get to you, I promise. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. George Schluter, 800 East 23rd Avenue. Number one, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for putting businesses in the highlight at City Council meetings. Personal experience, I'd really never looked at a lot of the businesses. I happened 2 months ago to go to get some peaches over at the Tenemic plant, and I was amazed to see how large that complex is. And I think you ought to get some of those larger companies here so that people in North Kansas City hear about them.
Absolutely.
Number two, Council, I think that there's a good compromise in the Diversity and Equity Committee resolution that you're looking at tonight, and I support it, and I hope you all will too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to jump in front of Liz while she's making her way up? Good evening.
I'm Liz Ryan, 2417 Erie, North Kansas City. I have two subjects I want to discuss. I'll try to get it in. I really want to support the bus for seniors. It's very important to me, as I've had a lot of family members that have used it, and as Linda knows, a lot of seniors come to the Parks and Rec. And I think that there's a way that we could probably find a way to take care of them. And it helps our businesses, the transportation. That's why they moved here. And I just would like the council to really think about it and support it if you can. And number two, I want to mention a yard of the month. I wonder what you have to do to be a younger month. We have a lot of people on Erie Street, Fayette Street, and I've been down the avenues that have really taken pride in their yard to do it. But what I've asked Anthony, I think, and he was going to check into it about what to do.
Sure.
And the one question he did say is, do they want it? Well, I think anybody wants recognition if they can get it. And I really wondered what we can do and what does it have to take place to get them. And we need to have the people that really do their yards to keep the enthusiasm, because we have some really nice yards.
Yeah.
Then when we have some that kind of like a little forest, then we have some that are look like Midwest auto salvage. Cars that don't run or anything else in there.
Yeah.
So I would like for you to guide us, and I don't know how to start. I've asked people and no one knows, so I came to see you, but you weren't here.
Oh, boy.
You don't have an answering machine.
So, no, this is something that I believe Mr. Clevenger and another council member piloted a while back, and it went citywide, and then it was brought back to Ward 3. And now I think the yard is sort of in Ward 4, but, that's okay. That's all right. It's not through. It's the new Ward 4. But if there's a desire to bring it back citywide, maybe each ward gets a yard of the month, something
I think
I'd
it's a
certainly
good
support.
idea. I think the enthusiasm that it shows when people really want to keep up the yard.
Yeah.
We have several on Erie and Fayette, and I drive down the avenues and look, and I'm really impressed with it.
Sounds like a yard of the month ad hoc committee. Do I hear volunteer to chair that? All right. Start rounding up.
I will go to ad hoc, but I've had health issues, so it'll be a while before I'm back active.
Sure.
Thank you, and please take some consideration about the yard of the month, especially in Ward 2. Ward 1.
There you go, Ward 1.
Woo-woo.
Thank you. Further public comments?
Hello, my name is Joe Gower, and I live at 30th and Swift in Ward 2. A couple things. I've been involved in planning a few festivals and pub crawls in prior years through the generous support of the city. Although I've spoken extensively to Mayor Smith and Kim Nakahota about this, our committee has decided that we don't have the capacity to put on another Fall Fest at the successful levels we've seen in the last 2 years. We leave it up to the city to decide what it wants to do with the funds that would have otherwise been requested for the event. And you have our support in connecting you with any of the vendors that we've used in the past. Thank you for all your help. There's a lot of hardworking, creative people in North Kansas City, and I don't doubt that whatever comes next will be a success. Time to pivot, because I'm going to use the rest of my time to talk about the Equity Inclusion Committee. In my 20 years living here, I've seen our local government get a lot better at representing its constituents. I also know it's a struggle to get people interested in participating in the process. We've got voters of all stripes. We have people from different backgrounds. We have people that go back generations, they own property, and also many who are just trying to get through their day-to-day and barely know about what goes on behind the scenes here. That's the whole reason the IC was created, to my understanding, reaching out to those that haven't been reached out to. It's taken some time for them to really get their footing and start making an impact, but it sounds like that's starting to happen now, just in time for the feds to swoop in and say they're going to pull all of our grant funding just by simply having one. I don't envy the position that y'all are in. They got a gun to your head with public safety grants. They want you to choose between funding the fire department and continuing a committee on diversity at the city level. I heard members at the August 14th EIC meeting say they were disappointed, even disgusted about the conditions they were making this change under. But their suggestion offered up as an option tonight sounds like a smart way to continue that momentum and to keep the official status with the city. These current grants in question are key to our fire department, and the idea of an administration holding these funds hostage is pretty despicable. It seems like to me that you're doing the best that you can with the hand that you're being dealt, but that also doesn't let the city fully off the hook. This is a continued thing that's going to have to be engaged with. The decision tonight, it's reactive. It's meant to minimize harm, but there will be more situations where these guys in power are going to try to influence how we do business here in North Kansas City. So where is the line in the sand where non-compliance starts, I guess is my question. You look at what's happening with these pop-up ICE raids. They traumatize families, they disrupt schools, churches, and businesses, they create fear, and they erode trust among targeted groups that they can rely on city services and public safety. So what line is being drawn by the city to determine what is not worth giving up? I don't envy y'all's position. You need to walk that line between what's best for the city and for the future generations in addition to addressing the here and now. But you have to look after your people, not just the grants and the future projects and possible opportunities and the streetcar of it all. Some of you up there, you were around when you put public health and safety first during COVID, even when it wasn't popular. I would ask of my representatives that you keep an eye on what values this administration continues to ask you to forfeit down the road. And look after your people. That includes people who aren't plugged in, who have barriers to involvement here. It sounds like this EIC committee has really gained traction towards that, and I hope the city continues to support it fully as an advisory committee under whatever new name it has to take on. It sounds like that's what EIC wants, and the plan being suggested by them is a way to keep them official while not putting the current public safety grants into jeopardy. I think the option of changing them into an ad hoc group would be a step backwards. And if people who have claimed in the past that they haven't seen action from this group until recently, that could make it even harder for them to make an impact going forward. And it would send a message that the things that they're working towards are optional for North Kansas City. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Further public comments? Good evening.
Hi. My name is Quinn Loya. I live at 2112 Fayette Street. And I just wanted to see if there was anything we could do, like maybe put up some signs around the school, because today was my first day and I was walking home and I noticed so many cars are speeding down Fayette the wrong way. And it just seems really dangerous. And I was just wondering if there's anything we could do to fix this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. We will dig into that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Further public comments? Seeing none? Goodness, thank you all for sharing all that. This is phenomenal to see so much public engagement. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, regular items. Item 12.
So sorry.
Hey, you're good.
KCATA presentation in consideration for budget upcoming calendar year 2026 contract for services. I'd like to also introduce Bryce with KCATA, who will be giving our presentation tonight.
Good evening, Bryce. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I think there are some new faces from the last time I was here, so nice to meet you all. My name is Bryce Shields. I am the Innovations and Performance Lead at the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority. I wear a lot of hats over there, but one of those hats is coming here to talk to you fine folk about service in North Kansas City. So, I'm going to come back to the mic. So first thing I want to talk about is your ridership. So this is Q2 ridership. This is your average daily boardings and alightings on the 201 and 238. So I think this gives a fairly good picture of what your daily usage is. So if you combine those, basically you have about 170 people a day using the 201 and 238 to either go in or go out of North Kansas City or stay within North Kansas City. On weekdays, that's probably actually a little bit higher because this takes into account Saturday and Sundays, which typically have lower ridership. So on the weekdays, your average daily ridership is probably a little bit higher than that. I also have your July paratransit trips. So you have not too much people staying within North Kansas City for your paratransit, but you have a lot of people going in and going out of North Kansas City using the ADA required paratransit services. You also, of course, have the 298 North Kansas City Flex. The North Kansas City Flex is averaging about 1,023 trips a month. These also are your top 5 destinations. North Kansas City Hospital, which is an obvious one. 2105 Swiss Street, I looked that up. I think it's a apartment complex. Also CVS, Harris Casino, and Templetown Laundry. So people are using it to do healthcare, have some fun, and do their essential jobs. All right, so this is also some performance data for our completed trips so far throughout the year. We are pretty much in line with where the agency as a whole, this is again the 201, 238. So with all of our routes, this is about in line with that. All right, so that's about the service. Let's talk about service cost for 2026. So we have the 201, the total route cost is $323. For the 238, it's $385. And the 298, the flex, is your most expensive route because it's operating 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, only within North Kansas City. And that's $417,000. Also, our capital contribution, what hasn't changed from last year, about $16,000. And then ADA paratransit is $61,620 for 2026. That brings the total before there's federal and state assistance to $1.203985. So I want to talk about service cost assumptions. So first off, for fixed routes, we're at about 5%, maybe a little bit under. That's generally what we want to be at. We have not been at that for the last 4 or 5 years. So we're really happy that our cost of annual expected increase is back in our target line. Also, though, I want to talk about the assistance. So normally we offer you guys 5307 funds as well as state assistance to help reduce your guys' local cost. It's a couple things. One, this year we're using the last little bit of our CARISA funds. Remember, we've had CARES, ARPA, and CARISA. There's a little bit of CARISA left. We're using that this year. That will be completely gone after the end of this year. Also, at the state level this last session, the state funds allocated for public transit has been reduced by 40%. That's a pretty big hit. We are disappointed in that, but we have to work with what is available. So I also wanted to present the route cost. So total route cost versus North Kansas City cost for the 201 and 238. So for example, for the 201, you're currently paying 5% of that route cost, and for the 238, it's 13%. That makes sense. The 238 kind of meanders through North Kansas City, spends a lot more time inside the city than the 201 does, even though it does run only 60 minutes versus the 30-minute frequency of the 201. So that's my quick presentation. Obviously, we had hoped to have the federal and state assistance for you today. We're still working on our community bill, just as you guys. I'm going to slow down. I apologize. Just so you guys are working on your budget. We're still working on our budget. We have our expected cost. We're then working on the community build to work out those federal and state options.
Beautiful. Thank you for the presentation. We also were hoping to see the state and federal allocation. Do you expect that it will be a 40% top line reduction in that number year over year?
I really don't want to put something out there that I don't have confirmation on. I just know that 40% state reduction is really going to sting.
Yeah. Federal dollars about the same, do we know?
Federal dollars will be the same-ish, again, because we're using a little bit of CARISA funds for you guys this year, so those will be gone. So there will be a reduction there. It's not going to be as severe as what's happening at the state.
Okay. So the top line, 1.122 versus 1.204 million, that's 7.2% increase. So that bottom corner number, contract said under 10, you're under 10. Appreciate that.
Matt, what was the number for this year that you gave?
1,122,000 was the top line.
Is that including capital contribution?
That is the bottom corner number from this chart from last year.
Okay.
The capital contribution were 796,000 was after the contributions came in, or after the federal and state dollars.
Okay, yeah, normally we split that way because we can't use 5307 funds on capital contributions.
Right. Yep. So our bottom line number that we paid out was $796,000. And I guess for budget purposes, we're trying to figure out where we're going to end up this year. Sounds like an unknown at this point. The second piece is fares returning. So I've read $2 fare, that's coming back. Do we know that for sure?
So what I can say for sure is that fares are going to be coming back either in Q1 or really early Q2. The amount the fare is and other aspects about the fare, how it's collected, those things are still being worked through. So we're working to reestablish the Regional Fare Council, update the fare policy with our regional partners who operate service to make sure that whether you're operating in Johnson County or KCK, that you are still in a unified fare system like we had back in 2019. And then we're working on procuring the new fare equipment because our old fare equipment is not functional.
Right. Lot goes into that. I'm trying to feel out what that impact will be for each city. I don't know the top number or the bottom number on that, but as soon as we would know and hopefully build that into any contract that comes forth is that once those fares start going into play, Q1, Q2, whatever that is would come back pro rata to the cities. And then IRIS. So we don't have IRIS, but other cities still do. Again, reading through, I think it's KCUR, there's a lot of questions about it. A separate contract with KC Mo and then other Northland cities. What do we know about IRIS at this point, and if it will continue?
So to be honest, what you know from the news is about what I know from the news regarding IRIS. It is being negotiated separately from the KCATA contract for service with KCMO, and there has been talks of it being reduced to the Northland. I can't confirm that.
Yeah, the struggle being with other cities kind of jumping ship, it's hard to get on a fixed route bus in North Kansas City and go somewhere you need to. Like if you want to go to Gladstone, you're out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
IRIS is gone now, and it's starting to disappear around. So like how can we, if we're paying for fixed route bus, or how can we get people where they want to go outside of North Kansas City? That's the struggle. And then the last piece out of me before I kick it to the council is I will, once again, as I've asked for years and years, a breakdown of the other direct costs and the indirect costs. What is going into those buckets?
I can actually talk about that pretty well. So I want to talk about direct labor. Direct labor is paying for the operator. So that pays the operator's salary, that pays for the payroll tax, that pays for benefits, that pays for operators that are out on leave, all those things like that. That's exactly what that pays for.
How is that bucket sliced? Is it based on their time in the city? Is it based on another?
It's based on hours in the city. So, for example, the 201 in 2026 is expected to spend 1,324 hours in North Kansas City.
How's the 201?
That's 201. If you want the 238, it's 2,166. And the 298 is 6,374.
Okay. And so that is what we're using to allocate direct labor cost.
Yes.
Is the hours.
Yep.
Okay.
So direct mileage is based off of miles, and that pays for make the bus go, essentially. So that pays for things like fuel, things like tires. Of course, we have 3 different fuel types. We have natural gas, we have diesel, we have electric. So a lot of kind of things go into that, but that is based off of the miles spent in your community. That's how we calculate that.
Okay. So the miles on the ground running the routes through North Kansas City.
Yes.
Okay. Other direct costs?
Yes, so other direct costs is basically done at a prorated rate based on miles. So the miles that operate within North Kansas City compared to our entire system. So basically, it's a percent of our entire system. You guys get prorated to pay for that. If you would like, I have the departments that are paid that are considered direct expenses still. They're basically all the things that makes the bus be able to be out there and go. All those things are required because you can't just run a bus willy-nilly. There's a lot of stuff behind it. So, for example, paratransit services, separate from the paratransit specific cost. Transportation, vehicle maintenance, facilities maintenance, regional van pool, security, customer service, procurement, half of information technology, half of service planning, safety, human resources, training, and then employee benefits.
And those are doled out pro rata based on miles in the city?
Yes.
Okay.
And then it's the same concept with the indirect. It's still based off mileage, and it's still prorated like that.
And what are those indirect costs?
So it's communications, finance, legal services, Ride KC projects, deputy CEO, economic development, commissioners, cooperative projects, CEO, employee benefits, salaried employee benefits, service planning, half of that again, marketing, again, half of IT, risk management, and labor relations.
Okay. Could you share those? I mean, we'll have the public meeting record of it, but do you have that list that you could share?
Yeah, I can share that.
Okay. That'll be something for us to take a look at. This is excellent. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Very much appreciate it. All right. What questions do we have from the group up here? Councilmember Click.
Just curious, when you share kind of that list, are you allowed to share like a itemized? You just went through and said like salary in a few different categories, so I was curious to see it like listed out in each.
So I believe all that information will be in our 2024 audit, which I also have a paper copy, but I will also email to you all. I forgot to do that, but I have the paper with me today. So I believe that all that breakdown would be included in that.
Other questions? Councilmember Alvarez.
You said the direct and the other direct costs and indirect costs. No, let me back up. The direct labor, indirect cost, employee benefits from both?
So it's employee benefits. Direct employee benefits is union employee benefits, and indirect is salaried, so non-union staff.
Okay. And how many employees do you have? Like, are you talking about the drivers specifically, or people that, like mechanics, work on but like how many employees?
Yeah, so in direct, so we have like 270, for record, we have about 270 drivers right now. We have about 500 staff total at the KCATA. So that is, maintenance staff, vehicle staff, those make the majority of that. We're about like an 80, maybe 85% union shop compared to non-union at the KCATA. And so, yeah, again, all those direct costs, because they include things like vehicle maintenance, facilities maintenance, so their union benefits would all be in that direct cost.
And just another question, do you have a high turnover rate for drivers?
It is difficult to maintain drivers. It's a tough job. So we are hiring almost constantly. We've had a bit of a pause over the last couple months while we were waiting for some stuff with Kansas City to shake out. But we're again hiring. So, we have a lot of drivers who make it a career and they're there for 40 years and they have great stuff. And we have some drivers that are there for 3 years and they decide they want to go drive a semi-truck because that license, of course, works for that as well. It can be difficult to maintain drivers. It's a very well-paid position, but it's also a high-stress job.
Safety, is that a factor? Or
we're always working to improve the safety of our drivers. We have barriers on the buses that help separate the drivers from the passengers. We also have cameras all across the buses on the inside and the outside. We're also launching a pilot project for AI-enhanced cameras that are going to be able to allow us to quickly react. Because right now, our cameras are basically for after the fact. And now with the AI cameras, we'll be able to react proactively. And of course, drivers also have buttons, safety buttons on the buses to subtly alert police and our staff if there is an incident on the bus.
And then I have another question. You said the fair may start, and you said Q1 or so. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so Q1, so somewhere between January and March, or at the latest, really early Q2, so like April, that period.
Of 2026.
Of 2026, I apologize.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
I guess less a question and more just, I know the allocations are a big piece of this and that's still up in the air, but I'm, I guess, expressing hopefulness that we can come up with a number that works well for us and you all. Just this bottom line increase, if we go from a little under $800,000 to north at $1.2 million, it'd be tough for our budget to swallow. Like, we've done a lot of budget work lately. I think the city staff has done a lot of cuts over the past 2 weeks, and we're still looking at like a $26 million deficit for this upcoming fiscal year across the entity. We're looking at over $1 million deficit in our transportation fund, even including transfers in from gaming to help subsidize these. So I'm just hopeful we can come to an agreement that's closer to what we had last year than what these numbers are showing here.
Yeah, I do as well. And if needed, we can also talk about service adjustments. If we need to be able to fit your guys' budget, we can work with our planners and schedulers to try and find a solution that still maintains as much service as possible, but again, that fits within your budget.
Further questions on this side? I did have one more. I get this question from constituents occasionally. The KCATA also owns the parcel, I believe, and I might be incorrect on this, up near where there's like a Kmart at some point up. Then there's some development going on with that. Is that development for a transit hub or something like that, or housing, is that rolled into the costs that are being borne across the system?
I am not sure that we still own that lot specifically. However, we do have transit-oriented development projects we do with the KCATA. The goal of those is, again, to bear their own cost and bring revenue back to the KCATA and then reduce the cost for communities like you. As a constituent mentioned, things we've looked for, alternative funding methods. Transit-oriented development is one of those funding methods.
Sure. Is the upfront cost of those transit-oriented development are those going into indirect costs to be borne through the system now to be paid back later?
Let me check did I say development?
You ran pretty quick through those.
Yeah. Economic development, so yes.
Okay. This is the sort of granularity that I've been hoping to understand, so that while I agree that enclave cities should bear some amount of fair share, if there's transit-oriented development and being built, say, down south of Kansas City, and it's being filtered across the entire network, like, I understand that that's a business decision, but that's not something that necessarily should be allocated to the 201 and the 238 routes, if that makes sense.
So I'm going to give a really good example of a transit-oriented development happening just barely outside of your guys' borders along the 201. We're building some really great apartments there, some great jobs. I guarantee those people are going to be taking that bus down North Kansas City to visit the breweries, visit Michi Amaro, which my wife and I went to a few weeks ago. It's a great place. Yeah,
great
I'll be back
spot.
there for sure. So I would say those, in that way, that benefits your businesses, because those close developments are going to bring people into the city because they want to go to the closest entertainment district, which is going to be North Kansas City.
Understood. Excellent sales pitch. Still get a little sketchy on paying for the upfront cost of development. I understand the business model of all that, but that's the sort of things that I would love to see more granular transparency with. But thank you. Like, this is refreshing, right? Like, over the years, this is the best we've had with getting questions answered. You're really doing a great job.
You know, we've had a lot of new staff on the finance side, which I'm not finance, but I get a lot of my information from finance. And so it's been really great for me also to have these answers. So I'm not standing up here
reading a
saying
statement.
I will get back to you.
Yeah. Or reading the canned statement from the board. This is all I'm at liberty to say at this point. Yeah. Any further questions for Bryce? I think the big thing next is going to be to figure out what that state and federal funding allocation looks like.
That is absolutely the next step. Hoping in the next couple of weeks, the finance team will be done with that community build, and we can talk about that and hopefully get that into a range that works for you guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the budget, item 13.
Fiscal year 2026 budget update.
Mayor, members of the council, I got the memo in tonight's the approach. We had the discussion August 5th, took notes. In the memo, I put in what I call the adds and deletes or adds and removes, but the changes made based on that discussion. Big thing is if anyone has any questions or if there's anything we missed, I can step through the whole list if you'd like, or
if you could go department by department, line by line. I'm just kidding. Please don't.
All right.
Please don't do that again.
Let me get a drink of water.
Yeah. Yes. What questions do we have from the governing body on what we've been presented? Councilmember Fitzgerald.
I'm not sure. I'm hesitant to say some of this because I don't necessarily have a solution, but I still want to just raise the point, and maybe it's not something we can fix this year, but long term, just keep looking into it. This year, I think even what y'all have done the past couple weeks has been a big step forward, going through and really looking at, especially those big capital items, what are we realistically going to actually spend in this upcoming fiscal year instead of, for lack of better words, just throwing everything in there and seeing what we get to. But that being said, even after all those changes I mentioned a few minutes ago, we're still looking at a $20.6 million cash flow deficit across the government as a whole. I think it's a little over $1 million in the gaming fund. That's not hugely concerning there. I think that's actually better than we budgeted years before. But just looking at the big picture with cash flow, if we actually do spend all these amounts potentially in here, that I think it goes without saying that's clearly not sustainable. We would burn through our gaming fund in a few years if we actually run a deficit like this every year. So I don't necessarily have a solution. There's big dollars in here. There's a lot of needs and things to balance for the city, but I have some concern on the way we might be trending.
Yeah, I mean, all fair points to raise. This kind of gets to a budgeting philosophy, and I think given the cuts that have been made on capital projects, at least not cuts that we won't do them, but that we're being realistic about when they could be expected, I would hope to see that if we're going to include a large capital project, and we can define what that means, maybe over $500,000, over $250,000, if we're going to include that in the budget, that we need to have some tangible way that we're moving toward it this year. Purina Mill being the easiest example. We've had that budgeted since I've been around. It's been sitting in between $3 and $4 million every year since I've joined the council 6 years ago. And we never really, we were always sort of sniffing around, but we never had an action plan to get the thing torn down. And unless that's in the next 12 months, if we have an actual action plan, it seems like we're headed that way, that we don't keep it in the budget. Like, that is sort of where I would land. And I think that would cure some of it. But if we're going to be a governing body that starts ripping the Band-Aids off, to do the hard things, to fix the erosions on the hillside that's been kicked from the 80s to the 90s to the early aughts and now, the 70s. Okay, yeah. For a while, if we're going to be the ones that tear down the mill, if we're going to be the ones that do the things that green light those projects that have been put off for a long time, then the budget will swell. We'll see these kind of years where there's a $10 million gaming fund deficit spending, with the knowledge that we are ripping off a Band-Aid, and that shouldn't continue. It should not continue to be that big of a deficit. Unless we find other revenue sources or bonds to fill the gap. So I don't know if we could take one more look at these capital projects and decide, are they a this year thing? Take one more look under the microscope, and if they are, we leave them in there. And then we track. If they don't get done this year, why not? How sure are we that they'll be done in the following year? And then we start including those that way. But I don't think we strip them all out and then have to do dozens of budget amendments for each different project, which would be cumbersome. Further thoughts or questions on budget items? Does that make sense? I mean, what are your thoughts? You are our budget subject matter expert.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be opposed to that, and I want to be clear, I'm not trying to say we go through here and just cut out everything left and right. There's a lot of great benefits from North Kansas City. Some of that comes from the city spending the money on the residents and the business and all that. It is part of it. But just long term, it's also not realistic to run a $20 million plus deficit every year on a city that brings in, $80 million in revenue a year. I may not be looking at the right column exactly, but 90 million.
69.
69 spend
revenue.
Call it 70 million revenue in 26 and overspend that. Spend 90 million. That's clearly not sustainable. There's something long term we need to do here. That the gaming fund is still doing a lot to subsidize capital projects, which roll in the other funds. So maybe at some point we have to look at different revenue solution for some of those big capital projects. I'm not entirely sure, but it's the gaming fund is a good thing to have. I don't want to just spin through it all in 3 years or anything like that. At some point it will slow down as Northgate TIF gets closer to the end of that. So it's just we need to be careful going forward so we don't end up in a bad spot.
Yep.
And the way that cities kind of operated in the past is, as we've had the cash to do a thing, we've done the thing. We did the whole project and paid out in cash. And I brought up 3-4 years ago, maybe taking on debt, and I could see the room clinch up at that point. But debt is a way you smooth out those spending. You allocate it over years, and that could come out of the gaming fund in smaller bits, drip by drip. Rates aren't great for that, but we're going to have some really big expenses coming through the water master plan, the sewer master plan, stormwater. Those are going to be huge numbers. And even if there's a huge chunk of change coming from the state for a stadium development, we're still going to have to figure out how to pay for stuff. And I think that we'll have to take some really good hard looks at what does it look like to bond out some of these projects, which will then help cure these big chunks of money coming out at once from the gaming fund. So, go ahead, Mike.
That's the goal of staff. I mean, we know that the master plans are kind of split into years 0 through 5, 6 through 10, and on up to 20, 25 years. So we're waiting on the sewer master plan. So one, we can look at all of them, look what our annual costs are going to be, and the same thing. How do we bond out in what increments, and to start tackling those? And we agree completely. We know we've had some projects riding on the budget for a few years now, so our hope is to knock some of those off. But some of them we did go back and split, look, okay, let's focus on design, or the Burlington water main. We can't do it all in 1 year, even if we started today. So we know we push that. But we'll go back through and look prior to what we bring back for September 2nd. Is there more stuff that we can kind of push off? Another goal of ours is to kind of solidify the fund balances, because then we have that target. We know that right now gaming has a large fund balance, and general fund has a large fund balance. We might want general a little higher because there's so much personnel and operating costs in there, whereas gaming, maybe that's set at 33 or 50%, whatever it is. Then that's the hard stop every year when we're budgeting, is that it just to a degree makes it easier. We're trying to spend down previous years' revenues right now, but yeah, absolutely we can.
Yeah, I'd just say take a look and see if we're making progress toward a thing in the next 12 months or in the budget year. Let's keep it there, unless we're going to start really looking at bonds now, which I don't know that we are. I don't think we're.
No, the goal is the finance committee. We've kind of got the members and I'll say the budget committee, the finance committee started. So the goal is to start having those discussions, and then of course always come back to the council. Say, here's what we've been talking about and looking at.
Yeah.
We can utilize our bank and our financial advisor.
Yep. And we're not trying to forget that there are projects that are worth doing. Those land on the long-term capital projects ledger and don't produce a huge deficit in the year.
Yep. Yeah.
Further thoughts or questions on the budget as presented? Really appreciate the work, the cutting. Tell Nick as well. We appreciate him and all his work, and all the departments who have gone through and dug and found ways to save. Thank you for that.
I will just real quick. So the remaining budget calendar, we've got September 2nd. With this direction, we can bring back. I mean, obviously, we'll get it to the budget committee during this time. I would hope by the end of this week, have something to the committee to look at, and then of course we'll bring it back to the full council. So as far as adoption, we still have to wait for the levies from the county. We have to do that by the end of September. Hopefully it's for the 23rd. It's kind of nice that meeting has that been done yet? Okay. If the 16th gets moved to the 23rd, that might help out with the budget. But as far as when to bring for final adoption, we'll work on that for the next meeting.
Appreciate that. And then one more piece that we've had residents who are actually looking at the budget, which bravo, people. This is I really appreciate that, asking the hard questions. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Okay. One of those questions that came in and has come in before is River Forest Park. It was originally a $2.5 million park project and is now flip the two numbers, $5.2 million total project. And people are asking questions, and that is a very fair thing to ask. And the way Mike put together a memo on what's happened in the process, and so dating back to, as Amy alluded to, the 70s, 80s, 90s, there's been people saying the back side of this hill that overlooks River Forest Park has been eroding. It's in public meetings, it's in public documents, but it was hidden with trees. And so the only people who knew or cared about it are the people who live there, or the people they told who then aren't with the city anymore. And so once we started cutting those trees away, you can't hide the hillside falling off anymore. Not only that, but it's painfully evident. I encourage people to come down to the end of 26 and take a look. That cliffside is moving. And so it has become two projects on the same site. There's still the $2.5 million park project that has had a very small cost increase with a relocation of a part we have to dig. The rest of the overruns and price increases have been in the erosion control. And if you've ever tried to control erosion, it runs away on you, as the name would suggest. And we've had to make very hard decisions. We've had to sit and scrutinize, how do we prop up this part of a hillside? Do we slope it? Do we retaining wall it? Each one has different costs and benefits. The people at this dais have put in a lot of work figuring out how to do this, one, the right way, so there's a durable solution, and two, in the most cost-effective manner with respect to the folks who own the houses there on 28th Avenue, I believe, and for the safety of the people who will enjoy the park. So this is not something that has been fun. It's been a lot of difficult analysis, but I think we can be proud of the work we've done on this, despite the numbers just going up and up and up. So we hope that we've got our arms fully around it. We've kind of made the last, for now, decision on it, and we're moving forward. So thank you for watching the budget and asking those questions, though. Okay, item 14.
Consideration of an ordinance regarding the formation of the Community Enrichment Advisory Committee, Bill number 7932, ordinance number 9729.
Okay, I'll take this one. This one's not fun. Okay, the environment created at the federal and somewhat at the state level has created a very frustrating dynamic where we're holding things in tension, where diversity, equity, and inclusion are core values to the leadership of North Kansas City, to the people who live here, and those are now under attack from federal leadership, where if we want to, and this is no longer hypothetical, this isn't like if we get a grant option, this is if we are awarded money, we have to certify that we do not have an official diversity, equity, and inclusion program or initiative with the city to receive those funds. We have money pending that could be awarded to our fire department that could make a huge difference. We also have a grant that we are looking to apply by the end of this month that we cannot submit. We can't send the grant off unless we make that same attestation. And so we're kind of at a crossroads. And I've been talking with the Equity and Inclusion Committee for months now, with the leadership of the committee, and I've come to a committee meeting. We've tossed around ideas, anything from going to ad hoc to a name change. The name change is actually suggested by members of the committee, and that came through legal review. Our city council took a look at it. It was worked by a work session of the EIC and then voted through at Thursday's meeting by unanimous vote of the folks there to change the name to the Community Enrichment Committee to continue the same work with the same people. They're going to continue to make this city a place that is welcoming to all, a place that genuinely values everyone here. They're going to continue to identify ways that they can engage the community, enrich the community, and continue the good work they're doing, while also allowing us to certify and apply for these grants. So that is what's before us, an ordinance that would formally decommission the EIC and create the Community Enrichment Advisory Committee. Questions on that? Councilmember Saper.
At this point, we've had some legal questions resolved in terms of can we dissolve and create a new committee. But what I haven't seen is a legal opinion on whether the EIC committee, advisory committee, in fact, falls under the federal prohibitions, because EIC doesn't act. It's advisory only. And as I read it, and I've talked to other attorneys outside the city, who say that, no, it doesn't. So the city can go forward and actually sign those documents that say we do not have equity and inclusion, because we don't. That would refer to hiring practices and requirements. We don't do that. It referred to contracts and requirements. We don't do that. What we have is a group of people who are using free speech to gather together and advise the city, make recommendations. And there is nowhere that I can tell that that violates the new directives that are coming down. I'd like to, I have not seen a legal opinion on that formally from the city. And it seems like, I guess it's almost like if you're in elementary school and a new kid comes in from another town, and you've heard that, well, they may come up and demand your lunch money, but they haven't said anything. So you go up to them and say, here's my lunch money, even when they haven't asked. We're actually running even if we're not being chased. And I have not seen, again, a legal opinion saying that's not right. And it seems to me to move forward with this without that kind of backup and scrutiny is foolhardy. And right now it says, welcome to all. All are welcome. Community enrichment is a very vague and dangerous term because it can mean lots of things. It can mean enrichment. A grocery store would certainly enrich the community, but that's not actually DEI. In fact, it could be seen as a backward step that we're making to the times when North Kansas City was a sundowner town. If you don't know what that is, that meant that blacks, Hispanics, and a few others had to leave North Kansas City by dark. They could come in and work, but they had to leave. They couldn't be part of the community. And DEI is some effort to actually change that. It has changed, but we don't want it to go backward. And this name change is a backward step that, again, I'm not sure it's even necessary to do it. I have seen nothing that makes it necessary. So I strongly oppose it.
Appreciate your comments. Any further thoughts, comments, questions? Councilmember Graham.
Tony, Councilmember Saper, I appreciate your comments. I don't think that I don't want to have to change the name of it. I don't want to do any of this. I think it's awful. It drives me crazy that we're being forced into a position where we have to compromise the things that we want to stand for because we're being bullied by a federal administration that ran on a platform of less interference, and yet they are saying you have to change the way that you operate. But I think the thing that makes North Kansas City so great is that it's not because we have an EIC that the people who are on the EIC and care about it. I think that the semantics of having to take out words that are kind and generous and frankly necessary and replace them with something a little more vague in order to get money is gross, but it is what it is, and we are in the position that we're in, and I don't see us sliding backwards as a community because the name changes. Now, that said, communities everywhere are under pressure to do this. It's not just cities, it's universities, it's schools, it's businesses, it's anybody who is doing business with the federal government, and we're all having to deal with this awfulness together. And I see that the work that the EIC has done is thoughtful, and I think that the compromise that you all have created is pretty darn good given the situation, and I think that it opens up an avenue to continue doing what the EIC intends to do, which is make the community welcome to everyone. All are welcome, and just because the name doesn't include diversity, equity, or inclusion doesn't mean that the values that that committee operates under aren't to employ, to further diversity, equity, and inclusion for our residents. Now, I'm sure that is not in the spirit of what the federal government wants us to do. They want us to completely disband it and pretend that marginalized individuals and people who feel left out of the community go away and don't get, don't feel the way that we want them here in North Kansas City to feel, which is supported and valued. But I think that what you all have come up with is honestly, it's probably the best thing we could do given the worst kind of situation.
Linda.
Yeah, sorry, I agree with Councilman McGrone. I think that I would hope that we keep the same people, that's what they said in this group, that it really doesn't matter what name you give it. People can still accomplish the same things if they want to make a difference. If it's important, then you'll see it through. It shouldn't matter what name you call it or what name you work under. It's still the same principles. It's still the same thoughtfulness or trying to ensure that everyone feels welcome or included in anything that's going on in the city and not separated from any of the activities or benefits or anything else. I don't see how you can still function. You can still function and do everything that you need to do regardless of the name that you add to it. So that's my thought.
Further thoughts? Councilmember Click.
I just want to say I also hate this. I think it's just dumb. But similar to what Lindsay, Councilmember McGrone, was saying, I just want to say I am committed to these values. I think that the majority, if not all of the council, is also committed to these values, and that the nomenclature isn't going to change that. And I hope that continues years and years down the road, but a lot of that changes as people come and go. So just, I guess, an encouragement to elect people that you agree with their policies, and that's sort of unrelated. But I think also because the EIC has thoughtfully made this decision, has discussed it at length, multiple meetings, I think as a way to show these values, I want to support the decision that they made and the compromise that they made. I do think that there will be a time when there will be a line in the sand, and I think it will be pretty obvious. And maybe we can even start discussing what that is. I don't know, get ahead of it, because I do think that time will probably come. I hope it doesn't. I don't know. So just wanted to say that I'm committed to the values of the EIC committee, the values of our city, regardless of what it's called.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
I went into today's meeting, thinking I don't like the need to change the name of the EIC. It's all been said clearly. No one's happy about that. And, also thinking that, if we can just change the name and keep functioning in the same way, have the same, EIC folks out there doing what they do. It was said during public comments earlier today that, they're getting their feet under them and starting to accomplish some good things. Just keep that momentum going and, kind of operate in essentially the same way except for the name change. I think it was also unanimously approved by the EIC themselves, so wouldn't want to go against what they came up with either. But, to me, Councilperson Saper did bring up some good points that the threats and all that driving this. The certification has been mentioned a couple times. I haven't actually seen the specific language on that. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was shared at one point. I can't remember at one point some other language was shared by another department about some, potential walkbacks or DEI language and that type of thing for governments. I know like HHS at one point had language like that and walked it back. Just there are a lot of moving political pieces with this too. So I think Mr. Saper did have a good point. It might be worth, just before we rush into this change, take a step back and, reassess what are we looking at here? What is the specific threat that we either need to, certify or that's been sent to us, that type of thing, and just make sure we are fully addressing that,
See a hand over here. Councilmember Clark.
That's a really attractive perspective. I mean, I appreciate, Councilmember Saper, that you brought that forward of what does that look like legally. I mean, I'll be honest, I came in here, I'm like, oh, queer woman, I know how this goes. First, I'm a woman, I'm queer. My rights are like up and down week by week. And when I just simply want to like see if I can be in the room when my partner's having surgery and make some decisions, it's like really basic. But I would say, I don't know. I mean, I don't think even people that voted in our country knew that we would be in a position where, DEI would be more offensive than like white supremacy and white power or initiatives. And I feel the same level of like anger and frustration and concern, and I certainly don't like to feel like we're being bullied. So I definitely want to look at the legal aspect as well. Are we jumping the gun too soon, kind of thing? Are we feeling like we've got to relent? But I think the bigger message is, no matter what, right, occurs with the committee, I think all of us need to like sit with the fact that the committee also needs to know that you support them. The committee was formed and it didn't get a lot of support in the beginning. There was a lot of pushback from community members. And I think what's happening now in our society as a whole is revealing the mobilization that needs to happen, the reality check that needs to happen, the threat to constitutional rights. I don't care what party you represent. I think it's both a bag of turds at this point. And I think, knowing that someone comes up on an ad hoc committee and gives us more information and more momentum than I've seen for composting that I'm excited about. And that's an ad hoc committee. I don't want to downplay the power that can come from an ad hoc committee. I think it's like we have to, as a council, recognize we still have to push these values and still say, this is a prime example. These are the times we're living in where we have to focus on our neighbors and say, are you okay? Are you doing okay? I mean, we're building a park in an area that maybe that particular house that it's going to immediately affect the hillside isn't our socioeconomic, highest valued house, but we don't base it off of that. We don't base helping people off of how much money they make, what their ethnic background is, what value they're going to bring monetarily to the city. We just say like, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a resident. Who knows what it costs the people that live in that house, by the way? I know I'm getting on a tangent, but why not? It's happening. To make their own retaining wall at that time based on their salary, right? The money they made in that time based on what we have access to and what we've put off. Those are itty-bitty pockets of examples of us saying, as a city, our values are there. We got threatened maybe at a time by creating a committee. It made it real scary that they were, that we were going to take care of our houseless population who works out at the park that might actually be looking out for something. Maybe we can assign them things that they can help out with doing around the city. I don't know. I just feel like our values have to remain. I'm down. I know we're voting on this to say, are we going to change the name? I'm cool to table it until we know all the facts on whether, it's legally not okay and we are absolutely going to be prevented. And then the other side of me says, guys, it's just another one of those things, being a queer woman in America, where you just got to play the game. DEI is the new white fragility word and phrase. And we're playing this big game, this big, huge field, right, of saying like, we got to go underground and mobilize and say, we want this to change. We don't feel like this is right. And it's not based off of race, and it's not based off of all these things. It's just based off of like humility, just the basic value of being a human being. Right, I'm done.
Further thoughts? Councilmember Bailey.
well said, all of you. I appreciate deeply the thoughts and time that you've considered this. For my part, I do not want to put staff in the position where they feel that they would need to perjure themselves in order to attest for these grants. I don't think that's a fair position for council to put them in. I think it would be a reasonable, based on their interpretation of it, that they could say, no, I can't sign this in good faith. So I feel like the EIC committee has done a lot of hard work, has wrestled with the same thoughts and feelings we're having now, and has come to a suggestion to get around that. So for my part, I don't like it, but I think this is the thing we need to do to move forward.
And to that point, this is something that I addressed with the committee at a meeting, is that if that comes across my desk, if there's a $450,000 grant for the fire department, and it comes to me to attest that we don't have any diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives or programs, I cannot sign that. I cannot attest to that under the current situation, and that's frustrating. That's where we land with this. This allows us to continue the work with the same people under a different title. Councilmember Saber.
Clearly, we have to move forward with something. And but the legal questions are still hanging out there and nagging at me. Why can't we get a legal opinion about, in the testing, as you were saying, to those, we don't have those programs? Is this a program? Or simply, as it's stated in the ordinance, an advisory committee? Where does the legal, where questions land and how do they get resolved? And I would certainly agree that I think Councilmember Clark had it right. Table this for the moment and get some legal opinions about the necessity of a move that we are making. I haven't seen any. I think we need some. And whether it goes forward this council meeting or the next council meeting, the sky is not going to fall in.
So we have a deadline for a grant that will be to apply. It requires the attestation before the next council meeting. So we would lose that opportunity. We would lose that funding opportunity. And then I don't know when the fire grant would be awarded or not. But again, it's not a hypothetical. And we could ask for legal opinions. I don't know how long that would take, or if there's even case law for this, because this is a pretty new paradigm we're operating under. So,
well, there is some people who would like to help us. Roger McCrumman of the immigrant law offices here in North Kansas City has been dealing with that aspect of the issues and could provide some help as well. And we need to reach out to these people and get some real solid opinions instead of running on fear, which is what we are doing.
We could reach out and get opinions. That would also, there's a legal opinion, and I'm also not looking to set a precedent in a case. If we sign it and we get sued, or they come at us, we could set a precedent on the wrong side of a thing, and we could operate with all the legal opinion. It is within the council's right to table an item until a future discussion. I would encourage that not to happen. This is a name change. This is allowing the committee to go forth as a body of the city to continue the work they've been doing. And I would encourage council to consider that.
I would still be curious on the language that we are attesting to, because I don't know what it is, but a broad attestation that we don't have a DEI committee or something like that is much different than like something that we're attesting that we're not violating anti-discrimination laws. There's been a lot of language flying around related to this. We're really focusing on this attestation. I'm sure this is a thing we have to attest, and I'm not sure what we are looking at attesting to.
You have the language handy, Mike, from any of the grants? I know we read out loud the DOT
No, not with,
piece.
it's in my office.
Yeah, each one's got a slightly different take on it, but and again, legal language matters, but the crux of it is program or initiative to promote or forward.
Policies, programs, initiatives, I think, is the one that the larger grant that involves the 3 firefighters.
Yep.
Where it's over 3 years. The one due August 29th is for the emergency, or that's a FEMA grant, and that one was it attesting that we don't have diversity and equity programs and the same kind of thing.
And I mean, all I can say too is that the entire group present on Thursday voted to recommend the name change for their own committee. And for us to say, no, we're not going to change what you recommend, like that's, I don't know. Further thoughts? Councilmember Alvarez.
I would agree that if the committee got together, this is the name that they came up with. I would like to support that. As far as the legal aspect of it, if the federal government is saying that if you have something that is called a specific name, then you're not receiving the funds, I don't understand what the legal aspect is, or what is it that you're looking for. If they're saying that if you have this certain committee or a certain name to the committee, then you're not going to be a recipient of the grant or the funds for a certain program. If I don't understand where the legal part of it comes in. It's either you use that name and you forfeit the money, the grant money, or you go with what the committee suggested in the name that they chose. That's my opinion.
Councilmember Clark.
Before I got all wrapped up in my emotions, I was making a point in my mind of I'm sitting on both sides of it. And of course, a part of me is just like, yeah, I think the legal aspect is just more, well, if it's an advisory committee, what is the difference between being the EIC that it is now? And the point I was trying to make is the community needs to know, the EIC as it exists today needs to know that the community is actually backing it up, that if it did operate as an ad hoc committee, we would continue the values and the examples that we've already set. What we don't want to do is just fight for a name, which may cost us, funding for the fire department. I know no city staff wants to deal with any of that. Like, nobody wants to feel like they're pushed around to do that, unfortunately. We're in city government, and this is kind of how it works, like from the top down, and we, the people, make the difference. So you have to follow process and make the difference, but we have to, again, mobilize to make the difference. So in this moment right now, to table it sounds like we're only going to put ourselves in a position to not get a grant, potentially. And I get it. Everyone's like, but that's not worth it, right? Or maybe it is worth it to wave, the EIC flag, but I can appreciate that if I really boil it all down, that the EIC still exists in their own respect under the new name Community Enrichment Advisory Committee. And I think it still can be extended the respect of the community and our council. And I don't think they lose any power or momentum in my eyes. But I think I want to make sure it's on record that we all support that we're all supportive of this move as like the tiny change for such a big advisory committee. I guess that's it. The tiny change of a name change just to meet the rules to play the game. We're playing a game. It's always a game every 4 years. So I guess I would just put this on first reading.
Do we have a second? Councilmember Saber.
Executive Order 14173 that this has been coming under. In one part it says that this order does not prevent state or local governments, federal contractors, or federally funded state and local educational agencies or institutions in higher education from engaging in First Amendment protected speech. That means advisory committees can talk. Advisory committees can make advice. And this allows for that, specifically. The committee is constituted before, and the questions after are just that, advisory. They don't execute anything. They don't have any, they are not a program. They are not preventing or pushing programs themselves. They have to go through the city council. That's us. And they should continue as they are.
A motion for a first reading. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes.
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 9344, ordinance number 9721, and Chapter 2.50 Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, and enacting in lieu thereof a new Chapter 2.50 Community Enrichment Advisory Committee to the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7932, ordinance number 9729 be placed on second and final, be placed on second and final reading and passed as ordinance number 9729.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Click.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Definitely, strongly, no.
Councilmember Bailey.
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
I believe in the committee, and I think we can all win. Yes.
Councilmember Salinas.
Yes.
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 9344, ordinance number 9344, ordinance number 9721, and Chapter 2.50 Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, and enacting in lieu thereof a new Chapter 2.50 Community Enrichment Advisory Committee to the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
All right. Item 15.
Appointment of the Community Enrichment Advisory Committee members.
Okay, so this item will serve to reappoint or make new, fresh appointments for all of the current members of the Equity and Inclusion Committee to the Community Enrichment Advisory Committee. Councilmember Bailey, did you figure out?
I'll have to abstain.
Okay. What do we need on this? Do we need just a motion? Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.
Consideration of a request to move the second meeting in September from the 16th to the 23rd due to the Missouri Municipal League Annual Conference.
All right, any discussion on this item? How many are going to MML at this point? We got staff going. Staff, yeah, there you go. Very good.
I'm out of town on the 23rd. Just,
Well.
if that matters.
It does not. Okay, do we have a motion? Was that?
You feel strongly about it.
Yeah. What was that now?
First motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. In case anyone didn't follow that, second council meeting in September is now on the 23rd. If you show up on the 16th, we won't be here. Item 17.
Consideration of an approval of accounts due and payable by the city through August 15th, 2025, Bill number 9733, ordinance number 9730.
I move that.
Yeah, we need
First
first.
read.
There you go.
First.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through August 15th, 2025.
I move that bill number 7933 to be placed on second and final reading and passes as ordinance number 9730.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Click.
Yes.
Councilmember Saber.
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey.
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Salinas.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through August 15th, 2025.
Staff comments. Mike.
Right, you have the department reports in the packet tonight. There's also the July YMCA membership invoice summary. It's kind of sticking where it's been the past couple of months. But as far as the reports, I know we have something from Anthony, but we'll start off with Kevin on the police report or the department monthly report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Not much new in our report month over month. A lot of the stats seem to stay the same. Key highlight during this in July was our participation in the annual counter-terrorism response training. That was something that was developed, coordinated through Mark, probably 6-7 years ago now, so the region can train on the same platform to respond to incidents that are involving a motivated attacker. So we train on that every year. If you want to boil it down to what commonly known as active shooter training, that's really what that is. But that way, if we go to another jurisdiction or they have to come here, we're all been trained on the same platform, same techniques, same language, same movements. So it's more cohesive. So that's I'm happy to answer any questions about any other part of the report, but that's really the main thing that we got accomplished in July this year.
You also had, I guess, National Night Out was in.
That was technically, yeah, that was August. So I'll talk about that in
next month's report.
Well, September. Now I'm going to miss the second September meeting. So
Cliffhangers, my goodness.
You guys aren't going to hear from me. You'll have to hear from somebody else. National Night Out was awesome. We had a good turnout. We'll bring it back around. I don't know if it's my turn to talk yet, but I appreciate the support from the mayor and a couple council people that I saw there. It was really hot, but still, I think overall a good, successful community event. It's our second shot at it. We added a little bit of a car show this year. Try to build some momentum on that for next time. Happy any critiques, any feedback, anything you like to see. But yeah, I think that's going to continue to grow, and it'll be a big event for us. And happy to see any member of the community that did show up, and hopefully invite any of the members that chose not to check it out next year.
I don't know who the friends are that chose early August for that event, but if you speak to the national folks.
So that was brought to our attention numerous times. And it is generally coordinated as a national event. It's
Right.
National Night Out.
Right.
But we have seen entities in Texas and warmer states that do it later in the year too. So we could adjust it slightly, but I mean, who doesn't enjoy a good sweat?
Eating hot wings when it's super sweaty outside is excellent. Councilmember Saper.
Which I assume means communications platforms. Is that right?
Common techniques, communication. Many years ago.
Techniques too. Okay.
Yeah, many years ago, the region got on a radio system where we can talk to each other.
Uh-huh.
Just imagine establishing the right channel for everyone
Yeah.
to turn to. So we go to a big event, we can all be on the same radio frequency for verbal communication, but some of the techniques and stuff that go into this, or some of it's nonverbal, some of it's hand signals, some of it's movements and knowing what that other person's going to do when they come out of an environment and move into a hot zone, a cold zone, all those different terms that we use when we're training that. So that's just something to get everybody on the same page so we're all learning the same thing. Active shooter training has evolved a lot since really when we started doing it, which was post-Columbine. We've had 3 to 4 different iterations of a style, a type of training. This one seems to, at least at this point, stuck in this region. So, and everybody, all the instructors are going to the same instructor school, and all the operators are getting trained on the same techniques.
So common platform includes a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also highlight the animal control report. There's a dog named Stella Luna and a cat named Waffles on page 9 of 18. Please check them out. There's a QR code to adopt them immediately upon scanning. Next staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The fire department, again, like police department, the numbers are about the same, kind of speak for themselves. One of the things I wanted to bring up, the aforementioned grants you spoke about, the SAFER grant was applied for in July. We should expect approval or a word on that by the end of September. The other thing I wanted to bring up was that in conjunction with Clay County Health Department, a dispensing unit of Narcan was placed at the library. There's free Narcan and a dispensing unit inside the library waiting area there. And we worked with Clay County Health to obtain a grant for that back about 6 months ago. And they have offered North Kansas City a place to put it for easy access for those that may need it. Any questions?
Thank you. Who's next? Shoo.
Hi, I'll be the next one. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. In front of you is the Director Report from Community Development. There's not a lot to change from the formatting wise. There are a couple good news. One is that our Heat Island study has finally, the funding being released to the Texas A&M University. There was a change for the federal grant from one bucket to a different one, essentially renaming it as well. So we're currently working the details out with the university of, in Texas to bring up a contract for you guys for approval. The second one is about Safe Streets for All, and that is a well-known program by this community, and we have launched out our very first public engagement activity. We brought up a pop-up table to the Friday movie night in the park. We got a great amount of feedback, so I want to say thank you to the community who came over, grabbed the pizza, watched the movie, and gave us some ideas about how we make this community safer. I appreciate that. And moving forward, we will be updating you all about the comprehensive plan, how we selecting the, we have received a good amount of the RFQ submittals for updating our master plan. We're in the review right now, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you.
Excellent. Question on the shame signs for the yards. Have we been distributing those?
Yes,
yet?
we have been distributing those, and that's the last item I want to keep up. Please keep up cutting your grass. We got a little bit of more water or rains than last year, so the grass are still going. We continue abating those, cutting the tall grass as well. So if you ever have a question or wanted to report or submit a complaint, there is a portal on the website. Feel free to type in the details, and we will receive them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Public Works Department report is in the packet tonight. Couple just format changes. I moved a lot of the active design and construction task orders towards the top, just for clarity. We talk a lot about the bigger projects, but there's a lot of other little smaller projects that are in different points of design or construction or being bid reviewed or something like that. So they're kind of in there. Again, any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. One point of, should I just might go into the other? Okay. For Public Works, we had one point of clarification we wanted to kind of touch on tonight. We have a lot of ongoing maintenance contracts that we keep going for just things like pump maintenance, landscape maintenance, things like that. These contracts, they're written with as one-year contracts with 2-year term renewals, so they normally go for 3 years. But the question here is simply just whether these renewals of the approved contract should be done administratively or if they should come back to council when they come up. We have a couple here tonight that we're trying to get going. It's for pump maintenance. When the contract's approved, again, it's for 1 year, and then, administratively we could do it, or it could come back as a council item different times. So we just kind of trying to find a clarity there to that process.
My perspective is once it's approved by the council for the 3-year period, the interim could be administrative approvals, so that it doesn't have to, in case we got to get it worked up through a legal review or anything like that. I mean, it can be done at the staff level rather than having to have it done X number of days ahead of a council meeting in case something slips through that staff could handle. Thoughts on that from the governing body? Councilmember Saper.
In terms of other possible suppliers of these services, you've selected them, and out of the pool of those that applied, made bids. Do you see any vast possibility of any substantial changes that would occur? Because these seem cut and dried to me.
They are usually the more routine contracts, I'll say. No, we haven't had any issues in the past.
So they are pretty much cut and dried, so that kind of need for us to review each year, seems pointless.
Anyone
It'd
feels...
it'd be a case if we weren't satisfied with their services, we wouldn't, we'd want to come back and go out for proposals again versus a renewal.
You're the ones dealing with it day in, day out. You know the quality of the service. If you're having issues, bring it to us, and we'll figure out something else.
Okay, sounds good.
Does that work for the council? Very good.
Thank you.
All right, any further staff reports? All right, council member comments. Council member Click.
Oh boy, I'm first. Want to start by thanking everyone who came out on such a wide variety of issues. I think that's great. I really hope we can get something figured out with the bus service that works for everybody. That's extremely important. What else? I'm really excited about the composting. Can't wait to talk more about that and learn some stuff. So thank you. And then Liz, you're still out there. We can figure out, if I'm in full support of a yard of the month, if people want it, we can make it happen. So we'll get moving on that. A couple more. Oh, Quinn, who came and talked about the cars speeding down the one-way road. Obviously, that's dangerous and not good. And I want to thank her. She's not here anymore. But for coming and talking, I think that was brave and great. I probably could come up with more to say, but I'll be done since I didn't think about it. Thanks.
Councilmember Saper.
I'm glad that we've started looking at the KCATA contract. And reevaluating whatever the services they provide and the services that we want as a city and where they can come from, if elsewhere. It's going to be a major issue because the costs are just ballooning and skyrocketing. That's the major report.
Councilmember Bailey.
Had the opportunity, along with the other council members, to have a joint meeting with the North Kansas City Schools. It was great to get to meet some of those folks, bond over parking challenges on both sides of the fence. It was a productive meeting. We were glad to get to interface with them more directly, and as you heard during comments, just how large of a mark they make in our community. So great to kind of reach out to that. Thank you, Jesse, for setting that up. Glad to have Yard of the Month be dispensed throughout the city, especially if we can all get yellow signs, we can all get the Yard of the Month. lastly, Diane, thank you for coming out for the compost committee. I know we had mentioned possibly sliding that, talking about the budget. I don't know, this may not be the time, but it's something that we could probably add, through the line item if the council kind of was interested in it.
Yeah, can we do that, like just to show of hands, support?
Kind of a consensus, is
Yeah.
there, I mean, if the budget committee
So generally
talks
support
about and comes up with.
for the composting is a $12,000
Yeah, I was going
pilot.
to talk about it. Fall Fest not being, and that money could be redirected. Yeah. I'm for it.
So 12,000 into the budget for a pilot program with the smart boxes. Generally consensus.
That $12,000 will pay, does that pay for every household to get a compost bucket?
No, so
Or
that pays for the
just
two smart boxes
Just
to
the two
pilot
smart
it.
boxes for how long? For a year? Okay.
So I would,
Okay.
Yep, 1,000 a month for the two smart boxes, and then there's a grant through Mark and things that they can look for to bring on the backyard training and all that. So
I would.
Can I ask one more question since we're talking about it? How often do they come and pick it up? I guess would be my question. Yeah, like I don't want it to cause. Okay, so it's not going to be like overflowing and.
since those watching can't hear, that would be once a week pickup, and we can have it more frequently for a fee. But we'll put in 12 and hope for grants to cover some of the extra stuff. But excellent. All right.
Yeah, and they actually do have sensors, so that not only will the purveyor know when it's filling up, but you, the citizenry, will know, hey, box 1 is full, I should go to box 2. So they're pretty clever things. Diane was kind enough to tell me about some of this beforehand. All right, that's all I got.
Dr. McGrone.
Thank you to everybody who came out for public comments. I'm really sad we're not going to have Fall Fest, but I get it. But I'm excited about composting. That was going to be really, really nice. I love it. And I'm also excited about Yard of the Month for everybody, even though I don't have a yard. I love looking at other people's great yards. And hopefully we can get cars slowed down around the school, although I know that's a never-ending battle. So good luck with that. Also, I want to just make sure that we don't forget about something that Councilmember Click said during our EIC discussion, and that is we need to actively start thinking about how what we might be asked to do next with this administration and try to get out in front of those things. I mean, they're not happy, pleasant, comfortable things to talk about, but the thing is breathing down our neck, and we can't ignore it anymore. We just can't. We have to think about what are we going to be asked to do. If hopefully we don't get asked to do more than we're already being pressured to do, but we've got to be adults about it and think about reality and really there is no they. They is not going to solve these problems. We are they. We have to think about it.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Thank you to everyone that came out and spoke. Always good getting a lot of comments, and it was just mentioned, but trying, I guess the last two council people, but one trying to get more involvement from the high schoolers, and I think we actually had a high schooler come out tonight and mention a concern about speeding, wrong way driving. So if we can look into that somehow, would be good. But yeah, just thank you everyone that came out and spoke.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yeah, most of it has been already mentioned. I won't repeat a lot of it, but I do appreciate the people that came out and talked about how important the transportation is to some of our citizens. I know a lot of the older people, senior citizens, do use that to get back and forth, maybe for appointments at the hospital, doctor's appointments. I hate spending that money, but I think it's good to have that discussion, and I think it's good to provide that for our citizens. I do think that when they implement the cost, when they bring back the fare to ride the bus, I think that will be a big improvement also. So I look forward to seeing that happen and how they implement that. And then regarding the Community Enrichment Advisory Committee, I think, I hope that we all know we're better than just a name change. It shouldn't make a difference of what we do or how we see fairness in the city. It shouldn't just matter whatever name you call it, I think our city, our class of residents, we're better than that. I think we try to look out for each other, and I think that the name change is fine. I would hope that we would continue to care about each other as we do, as we have been. I also want to say that I am proud that Ward 3 started again the Yard of the Month thing. So we can challenge any other ward. They can make their own little sign or come up with their own little plan or whatever to acknowledge their Yard of the Month, or we could share our sign. I don't know. So we're open. So there. Yeah. We'll pass it around. I don't know, but just a reminder. Yeah. It did start with Ward 3, so just saying. All right. That's it.
Councilmember Clark.
Whoa. I'm hoping to go for most improved yard of the month at some point. Look, my yard is creative, and Mr. Rich lived there, and I can't tell what's a flower or a weed. So they all are flowers in God's eyes. Okay. I just want to say, Jessica Loya, thanks for fighting for your passion project, and know that we are supportive. And I've already had a constituent reach out just after this vote earlier to reach out and want some more information on the work that we've done on the legal side, on the legal front, to ensure that this was necessary and kind of what goes into it. So thank you, Councilmember Saper, as well. I never fault you for speaking up. I know it was a hard decision across the board. So, but Jessica Loya, again, I don't want you to ever feel like your voice needs to be silenced, and I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you care, and you show up. And I don't require you to be perfect to make your point. And I appreciate your words. Yeah, so thank you. And Quinn, I'm so sorry you had to come up and share that cars were speeding down the wrong way while you were just trying to walk home from school. What was the last thing? Thank you guys for your support on River Forest Park. And thank you for the clarification. I think the memo that went out was awesome. It provided absolute clarity that the park project exists over here. It's got the grant assigned to it for it to be developed. That grant, for us to get that grant money, the park has to exist. The hillside slope just came a part of the package because of mobilization of vehicles and rental equipment and all the things that go into putting this together. So thanks again. To city staff especially. Kim, thanks so much for your nerd work. She does a lot of great nerd work to be prepared for whichever way these meetings swing. And we kept it boring tonight, except for another area, but thank you.
Councilmember Salinas.
Ditto, just to everything that's been said. Thank you to everybody that came out. Diane, I'm interested and I have a lot of questions, so I'd love to hear about your next meeting. Also, we have some great yards in Ward 4. So we'd love to have a sign, yes. And thanks for not having the budget talk, that big budget talk. That was my first one, but kudos to you all that do this. I mean, that was just...
Maybe
yes.
on the second.
Yes. And National Night Out, that was awesome. My kids loved it. The food was great. I love that North Kansas City just feeds the residents or anybody that comes out. That's just awesome. What else? Thank you, Mayor, for touching on that River Forest Park. I know there's a lot of questions, and I encourage anybody that can come to the next walkthrough, do so. Thank you.
Very good. Mayor's comment time. Couple things. Public comments. Thank you, Liz, for starting what we'll term a turf war at this point. We're going to get some yards of the months going all over the place. Compost ad hoc committee, thank you again for your work. Methane is 85% or 85 times more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, so let's stop the methane and start some composting. A few things that happened this since the last meeting. We had the Police and Fire Pension Board meetings, very riveting time, no public attendance, but we talked about moving their benefits from 60 to 70% on their pension. That ask may be coming forward at some point soon. It looks like the market has done us a solid, and the employees are willing potentially to contribute depending on a vote. And if that happens, the city would not have to put money into that to allow their benefit to raise from 60 to 70%. Could be a great recruiting tool and something to retain our qualified employees. Happy Back to School Day for those who celebrate. parents, I'm looking at you. We did have a joint school board meeting that a couple council members touched on. It was excellent. We haven't done this in far too long, so we gathered the majority of the city council, the majority of the school board, including the chairman of the board and the district superintendent, Dr. Daniels. We all sat in a room and just kind of hashed some things out. We talked about how we can collaborate, how we can get more students involved in local government on our boards and commissions, bring them into City Hall. They're going to do a mock council meeting. They can use our dais here. That would be really great. Just some really just top tier individuals running this school district. I got to go to convocation, see just the energy in that room. 3,700, I believe, district employees chanting and dancing and just getting excited to make a difference in these students' lives. And then today, this afternoon, I was honored to speak at North Kansas City High School's pep rally for their first day. They are all dancing and jamming, and then they hand me the mic. I don't know what they were thinking. But it was great to see the energy in that room. Dr. Jones at the high school is just a wonderful individual, loves those students and wants to see them succeed. We talked about source water protection this morning. So if you don't know what source water protection is, join the club. Our aquifer provides our water, drinking water in North Kansas City. We don't drink out of the river like those folks in Kansas City. And so we need to protect that aquifer. And if you think of it like a big sandbox over top of a big pile of water that we're drinking, anything that goes into the ground can end up in our aquifer. And so we're talking about, and it's a group dedicated to this, protecting that source water. What do we allow to be put on the basin that is above it? So a lot of really good thoughts going into that. We're going to have some public meetings coming up. Stay tuned. Northland Transit. So we talked with the KCATA. I have called a meeting of Northland city leaders, what we're kind of called the Big Five, Parkville, Gladstone, Liberty, Riverside, and of course North Kansas City. We're going to have mayors and city administrators come to City Hall on Thursday to talk about a potential Northland Transit solution. I don't know if that will break us away from the KCATA or if that will supplement the KCATA, but we're going to talk about our frustrations and what's happening there. We had a meeting with the city administrator of Gladstone who shared that they have broken with the KCATA. They're piloting a whole new program that we're going to be watching. He also mentioned that once they did end fixed route transit, the fare-free fixed route transit, crime at their Walmart dropped by 93%. It's unbelievable what they've seen. And so we're hoping to see some of that as fares come back. Crime, it's been moving about the metro, and we've talked about it with the chief of police. There's a lot of things that come along with that. So I'm excited to see what happens with transit. Royals update, nothing to talk about. All right. Still not sure where that's landing. It seems that unless the county commission approves something in 2 days, November ballot will not be happening. So we'll be looking out at least to April. But stay tuned. And then I will be getting a new Northtown Hall together to be determined date and time, but keep your eyes peeled for that. That is all for me. Moving on to item 21.
Consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city councilor to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes 610.21.2, real estate matters, and 610.21.3, personnel matter.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Click.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey.
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Salinas.
Yes.
At this time, the feed will cut out and no more official motions and matters will be handled. Thank you all for tuning in.